I'm Frank Gambino. I'm the Senior Vice President of Ballpark Operations at the Washington Nationals. And people ask, well, what does that entail? Under my department, we have our security, both game day, and we have a 24/7 security force at the ballpark of special police officers. We also, under my department, we have our guest experience, those people that you encounter in the stands, ushers, things like that, concessions. We have a very large concessions force at the ballpark. Our concessionaire is a company called Levy. They do a lot of work at the University of Maryland. They do the Cap One Arena, obviously Audi Field, so they're very well known company out of Chicago. So they're our partner in the concessions. Also, as part of my department, I have a facilities department. We operate the ballpark, and we're required to maintain it. Our landlord is Events DC, and so I have a staff of about 22 people. I have carpenters, electricians, plumbers, HVAC mechanics, audio-visual, painting staff, carpentry staff. So, I have a wide variety of people who are skilled in various trades who work for me. So, we couldn't maintain or operate a facility like that without a large staff. On a game day, can anybody guess how many people we have working between security, concessions, guest experience? Any guesses?
1,000.
Close. On a game day, it's about 1,500. So, when you think about it, we have a capacity at the ballpark of a little over 41,000, and then we have 1,500 people there to kind of tend to our guests and making sure they're having a good fan experience. So, as Bob alluded to, I didn't start out in baseball. I never imagined I would end up working for a professional baseball team, much less one in my hometown. I lived most of my life just up the street, really. I went to the University of Maryland. I studied architecture, and obviously when I graduated, I wanted to be an architect. That's what really interested me. And I went to work for a local architecture firm in Virginia, and this was during the say mid-'80s, and it was kind of a go-go time. There was a lot of building going on, and I had an opportunity to work for the Lerners, and that's where I first encountered Mark Lerner back in 1985. So we've been friends for quite a long time, and it's been an honor for me to work with him and his family on a lot of different projects. So eventually he hired.
Just so everybody knows, they are a big, very well-known real estate firm in the whole Mid-Atlantic area.
Yes, they're
well respected.
They're probably the largest privately owned development firm here in the Washington D.C. area. And eventually he hired me away from the architecture firm, and I went to work for him. And he started me out doing tenant work, and I worked on a lot of projects just up the street in White Flint Mall. The construction of office buildings in Tyson's Corner. We built a mall out by Dulles Airport, Dulles Town Center, and more apartments and hotels. So that was my background. And like I said, people ask me, well, how'd you get involved in Major League Baseball? And, kind of my glib answer is, it helps to know somebody who owns a baseball team. Well, there's truth to that, but there's a lot more to it than that. And, when in 2006, baseball came back to Washington in 2005, and the Lerners were one of the bidders for the team. And, Mark and I talked about it, and he said, if the family gets the team, I want you to work on the ballpark with me. And, I was, not going to say no. That's the opportunity of a lifetime. So that's how, they ultimately were awarded the baseball team by Major League Baseball in June of 2006. And we went on a cross-country tour of ballparks. And flew out to San Diego, saw Petco Field, kind of to get an idea of, Mark's always very big on lessons learned. Not only what did they do right, but what problems did they encounter? You always want to try and avoid avoid problems in situations, new situations like this. So we went to a variety of different ballparks with the architect, and we learned quite a bit of not only what to do, but what not to do. So HOK Sport was the architect for the ballpark. They're a world-renowned architecture firm. They've done about 80% of the Major League Baseball ballparks. Camden Yards is one of their notable projects. So Mark and I got an opportunity to work with them, and one of the things that was important to us as an organization was to have a ballpark that when you saw it on TV, you could identify it with Washington, D.C. So we wanted to kind of put a D.C. stamp on the ballpark. So we were trying to figure out, how do we do that? And, the first things that came to our minds were cherry trees, right? April, a lot of people go down to the tidal basin and watch the cherry trees bloom. We said that's an iconic Washington image. And it just happens to coincide that they bloom in April, which is obviously the beginning of the baseball season. So we incorporated cherry trees into left field, onto the concourse, and also out in center field plaza. And then, we do a lot of concerts, and concerts are completely different than baseball games. I just picked the Jason Aldean concert to kind of show you what we go through for a concert. There you see our beautiful field, and I have to give our groundskeeper a little Valium, calm down, because we build a stage out there. And so this is the very start of the stage build that goes on for a concert. And it's fairly typical. A lot of these stages are fairly large. They have wings on the side, but you can see the kind of crane we have to bring in to build this kind of stage for these type of to host these type of major concerts. And we have to take up the sidewalk here. That's kind of our load-in area for the concerts, and we take over part of the street. But ultimately, you end up with a stage, mixing tent, and then of course the chairs, and ultimately you get to concert night. So we do all that in about 5 days. There are a lot of jobs at a ballpark. I talked to you a little bit earlier about there are jobs in the various trades: mechanical, electrical, plumbing, HVAC. Those types of trades. We do hire skilled tradespeople. We hire people who are in security. Like I said, we have our own 24/7 security staff at the ballpark. In addition, we have many. We hire about 400 or 500 people in guest experience every season. A lot of them come back or repeat folks. We have a very, we're fortunate to have a very good, stable staff, but we always hire new people every season. There's opportunities in concession. Grounds crew. Look, you don't have to have a green thumb to be on the grounds crew, believe it or not. There are a lot of skills. Yes?
About the concessions. So
yes.
Some of the concessions are privately owned businesses. So what is the track for that? Do you already have to be a well-established restaurant, or?
No, see, we do partner with people like Ben's Chili Bowl, Shake Shack, but those are all Levy employees who work there. So
it's through Levy?
Through Levy,
Okay.
yes.
But you could partner with Dog Tag Bakery, for example.
Yeah,
we do.
have.
Yeah, there are opportunities there. A lot of our stuff, like I said, that we partner with goes through Levy, and that's
Are you using Veterans Compost?
Justin and I are going to talk after this because
consider this.
No, because that is sustainability is obviously very important to the ballpark, and Justin and I are going to
Look it out. Good looking.
Obviously, you own a baseball team, you have an obligation, and it's one. Obviously the Nationals accept freely. We want to do good in the community. We want to when situations arise, like in 2017, the hurricanes that occurred in Florida. Down in Houston, we like to do community outreach. Obviously military recognition is an important part. It's something we do every single game without fail. It's very important to us. Obviously we have a lot of connections with the military that we're blessed to have, and we value incredibly. So, we do that. We also work a lot with youth baseball, little leagues, things like that. So here's, we packed our, with the help of our great fans, we were able to pack trucks off and send them down to Florida and down to Houston to help with hurricane relief. Obviously, part of what we do is we honor our first responders. Once a year, we honor those first responders who have fallen in the line of duty over the course of the year. And, we have a ceremony pre-game, we bring their families, and we place a plaque. So, that's one thing every year I say, I hope I don't have to do. I hope we don't have any plaques this year. But, invariably we do. And, these are all people who've given their life in service. We honor each branch of the military's birthday. So, we have Army Night and Air Force Night. I guess start with 2012. I had my first experience with the playoffs. And, we won our division there that year. We had the best record in baseball. And I was, getting really excited. This is going to be great. You have to prepare for the playoff. There's a lot of things that you have to do to get the stadium ready. The playoffs are not something the Nationals run. It's run by Major League Baseball. It's, kind of their tournament, if you will. We all participate in it, those teams that make it. But there's certain constraints we have to do. We have certain obligations with regard to broadcasting, marketing, ticket sales, and then preparation. So in 2012, we had the best record in baseball. We were playing the Cardinals. We were winning Game 5. At one point, we were up by 6 runs. And this was my first experience.
You're bringing tears to my
I
eyes.
know. This is my first experience preparing the clubhouse for the inevitable celebration that you have when you win. And we've all seen that on TV, what a mess that is. In real life, it's a lot worse. So, we had the plastic up, and we had the protection down on the floor for the carpet. And I worked with the fellows in the clubhouse. And we're in the 9th inning, we're still leading. And I said, should we bring in the champagne? He goes, yeah, bring in the champagne. So, we wheel in, the champagnes are these big containers, and you wheel them to the middle of the room. And all of a sudden, the scene changes for the worse. And things head south, and we ultimately lose. Well, I had dropped all the plastic, and I say, oh gosh, the players are not going to want to come in here and see champagne and plastic down and anything like that. So I'm yelling at my, get the knives, cut down the plastic. So we're cutting down the plastic, and then I'm telling them, get the champagne down, because you have to prepare the visiting clubhouse too in the event they win. So I'm sending the champagne down to the visiting clubhouse, and it is just, it's something that almost brings tears to your eyes. But that was my first experience. And then one thing, we were the darlings. We were new to the playoffs, and MLB, everyone was enamored that we were there. And then as soon as we lost, you've never seen people leave a building so quickly. We were yesterday's news at that point, within minutes of the last out. All right, World Series. Who would have thunk it, right?
This is the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I guess when we first talked about me coming to do this, it was the summer. I think we're probably in 4th place, maybe 3rd place at the time. Yeah, you want to do it in October? I got plenty of time. So, fortunately, things didn't turn out like that. And, baseball, it's a long season. We all, those of us who watch it, those of us who are involved in it, things can turn around. And at 19 and 31, I was like, The manager was still optimistic, but I was like, wow, I'm not seeing it yet. So, anyway, this is, it's an honor to host a World Series game. It's something, was on my bucket list of things to do. It took a lot longer than I thought it would take. But when it came around, it was just incredibly special. The amount of preparation that we had to do for hosting a World Series game was phenomenal. We had to build a broadcast compound. Obviously, the World Series is shown broadcast worldwide. And, we had to make sure we had room for all the broadcast trucks, the video trucks, the office trailers, things like that. It's a small city that you have to literally build. And then, of course, you have a sellout. Security is incredibly tight. So we got a tremendous amount of help from all the local DC agencies, the police department, the fire department, the Department of Public Works, the Department of Transportation, the mayor's office. Everybody was just incredibly on board. Matter of fact, these photos came from the police helicopter they sent to me. But you can see the excitement and kind of the energy, literally the energy radiating from Nationals Park. This was game one. We were fortunate enough that our front office staff got the opportunity to go to Houston and go to an away game. So I just chose to go to game one, and it's interesting to see how other ballparks do things. And these folks literally just got off finishing their American League Championship Series 2 days earlier. So they had 2 days to prepare for a World Series, and I said, boy, I'm thankful I wasn't in that boat. Inside our loading dock were 7 of those big broadcast trucks. We have a fairly large loading dock. So this is the car that the World Series MVP gets, and it ultimately went to Steven Strasburg. But yeah, it was very impressive. We got a lot of support from the surrounding neighborhood and city. People turning their lights red on their buildings, and a lot of curly W's and Nats flags, and again, this is an event that brings a community together, and so it's wonderful to be a part of it. So while the team was in Houston in Game 7, we hosted a watch party for our fans here in DC. So I was working that night for the watch party, and this is kind of the moment of celebration out on the field down in Houston, and the fans here in DC were going nuts, and it was a rainy night, but that really didn't dampen anybody's enthusiasm. And then the next day, I was going out to lunch, and a fellow in our HR department goes, "Frank, where are you going?" I go, "I'm going out to lunch." He goes, "No, you're not." "What do you mean?" I go, "I'm hungry." He says, No. The Boston Red Sox sent us pizzas. Well, lo and behold, they sent us 40 pizzas. And you say, why did the Boston Red Sox send us 40 pizzas? Well, there's apparently a tradition in baseball where the previous year's World Series winning team sends the new World Series winning team pizzas. I said, wow, what a great tradition. So we can't beat that. So that was actually one of the ancillary benefits of winning the World Series. And unexpected pleasure. That trophy is made by Tiffany's. And so we were on the phone with Tiffany's the next day. They flew in a silversmith from Rhode Island to come in and fix the flags for us the next day, which was, I thought, great customer service. And then, of course, the parade. This was one of the great moments I could say I've ever had. I've never experienced anything like this, to participate in a parade and just to see the outpouring of support and pageantry. And again, I said it's so important to have all the branches of the military involved in the parade, all the little leaguers. That to me made the parade. It wasn't the players and buses. Okay, I get that. That's why most of the people come. But to see this up close from this perspective to me was just amazing. And the throngs of people, 30 people deep, lining the whole route. All the way at the intersections going back. You're kind of overwhelmed by it. The only way to put it, I guess. So.